それでは、続きをやっていきたいと思います。前回は、写真を撮ってるところで何枚でも撮れるんだなーつって撮ってるところで終わりましたね。その次からやっていきたいと思います。こういう構図も嫌いじゃないね。あえてぼかしつつの撮影みたいなね。これ何撮ればいいのかな。自分から終わらせれないんですけど。終わりたい。もう写真は十分撮ったよ。
Definitely should not have drunk all that coffee.
Hold still while I take a picture of you.
I definitely won't be moving. Hey!
なるほどね。この人撮ればよかった。
I'm just saying, I'm not always gonna be here, Don. You'll need to remember this stuff if you want to survive.
I'll be fine, Dad.
You know who else thought he was gonna be fine?
Some guy who died.
Don, I'm being serious.
I know, Dad. You're always serious. Doesn't being out here make you want to chill out?
Well, to tell you the truth, I haven't been out here in 20 years. Don, don't you think you could find something more interesting to
あ
photograph?
る？
Last time I was with my brother Calvin.
これとか？
Man, that was a great trip. Your grandpa Sven taught us how to fish, how to build a fire. We found an old logging trail with deer everywhere.
なかなかピントが合わないね、これ。お魚さん。
Give me a minute to check the map. Let's see.
サメになってる時に撮りたかったな。
Maybe.
Dad!
Good eyes, Don.
鹿ちゃんじゃん。おい。これはいい一枚じゃね。
Before you take the shot, let me get a picture of it.
撃っちゃうのか。どれを取ればいいのかな。なんか取れそうなやついる？またおじいちゃん取ればいいのかな。
Dad, I...
Just breathe. Turn off your imagination. Focus on your target. Let me get behind.
Do I have to do this?
Dawn, you don't have to do anything. But if you want to survive, you'll need to be strong. Now keep yourself squared up, elbows down, like we practiced. Whenever you're ready.
あ
Great shot,
ーす
Dawn.
ごいね。なんで泣いてんの？
I'm proud of you, Dawn. Always remember that, okay? Sorry, Dawn. Just gotta
なんだ
reset
そう
the
いうことか
timer.
い。急げ急げ、おじいちゃん急げ。もう過ごした。
Dad, it's twitching. I think
That's
it's
totally
so-
normal, Dawn. Just focus on the camera. Try not to think about.
お父さん。
Of all these stories, that's the one I wish most that my mom had told me.
あれもよくあるはずなのかな、お父さん。屋根裏部屋かな。
After Sam died, my mom and Edie got really close. They'd both lost a lot.
ああ。こんな汚いとこに22周目できたらよくないんじゃない？
Dear Kay, do you remember the way Gregory used to laugh when he thought he was alone? Like something funny was happening, but only he could see it. I think he saw things the rest of us
あら
didn't.
らら。ちょちょちょちょとちょちょちょちょちょちょちょちょカエルちゃん、カエルちゃん。ほら、おい、細い。カエルちゃん泳げるぜ。おい、おい。おいよ。
Bartender's over, Gregory. It's time to.
え
Hold on, sweetie.
まだまだでしょ。もうちょい。
Sam,
Oh,
I told you
yeah.
I don't want to talk right now.
おー、じゃあちょいし。
I wonder what he saw.
おいよ、ちょいしょ。おりゃ、ちょいしょ。
But his
おいしょ。アヒル、食べちゃうぜ。
He reminded me so
た。あらら。
Maybe if I hadn't called that night.
Damn it. Hold on, I don't want Gregory to hear this.
I wish he could have told us. I'm sure he's happy.
ゴリゴリちゃんも
And he'd want you to be happy too.
そう。
Good luck, Kay. Love, Sam.
2年しか生きられなかったの？嘘。あら。
I can't imagine my mom ever writing poetry, and yet.
A poem for Gus, who always said the wedding was a bad idea. Our father never hit us kids, at least not very hard, before the day my brother said with teenage disregard that he'd be dead before he'd see a wedding in our
う
yard.
ん。ほら。すげえ。こんなことできるんだ。高く高く上がってくで。なんて書いてあるのかわからん。
My father made him come, of course, but Gus stood far apart, just flew his kite and bottled up the storm inside his
Oh.
heart. I tried to talk him out of it, but though he'd never met her, we don't need a stepmom, were the words that I remember.
ママ母はいらないと。はあ。
When the time for photos came, Dad ordered him to come here. But Gus declined and as a sign
Oh.
held up his middle finger.
あらら、そらいかんよ。その指はいかん。
The wind picked up and panicked geese appeared and quickly went. But all the humans did that day was go inside the tent.
あら。
The rain came down in buckets then, but no one seemed afraid that
Oh,
nature
no.
might destroy the tent our dad had crudely made.
いやいや、いかんよ、いかん。
The thunder sounded much too close and full of angry power. But all my father said to this was, "Make the music
あらら
louder."
ららららららら。 ばばばばば。すごい表現だな。
wish that I could truly say I thought about you on that day. Out there on the beach alone, just you, the wind, the sea, and foam. But I didn't, until we found you.
She never talked about him, but Mom told me once if I was a boy, they were going to name me Gus.
そうなんだ。壮絶な、壮絶なご家族ですね、これ。あららら。
My mom moved up to the loft after her brothers died. At the time, it was as far away as she could get.
大丈夫こんなとこ登っちゃって。これお母さんかな。
She spent a summer building houses in Calcutta, where she met my dad, Sanjay. Religion was another thing my mom never talked about, but I think it helped her a lot after her dad died.
そっか。何かにすがりたかったのかな。
My mom moved to India a week after graduation and got a job teaching English. Louis was born a year later.
ルイスさん。わーお。
When my dad died, I don't think Mom knew where else to go.
またこれは怖いな。
I'm sure Edie was happy to have her back. The house had to get a little bigger, but Edie was used to that.
あ、なにこれがそのてっぺん？うわー、怖怖怖。
And for a while, things were good. Almost normal.
ようやくね。
But it didn't last.
あら、うまくいかなかったの
The beginning of the end was Milton's 10th birthday, when Edie gave him a castle.
ミルトンのね。
After Milton disappeared, the only thing he left behind was a room full of paintings.
ミルトンはアウトライが好きだったんだ。すごい上手。いろんな絵を描いてる。ドアの絵を描いてるね。あら、すごい可愛らしい。あ、上に行けるの？うわあ、素晴らしいじゃん。ミルトンのロゴなんだ。王におひげ。こういうセンスはやっぱりすごいですよね。ここ個人ね。
Milton Finch in The Magic Paintbrush.
魔法の鉛筆。 面白い。
I was 4 when Milton disappeared.
こう見ると、僕エディ見てないんだ。もう2人か3人ぐらいだね。
Mom spent months searching for my brother. Then she sealed the doors. Whatever Milton had found in the house, Mom didn't want it getting out.
また封じ込めようとしちゃったんだね。何これ。通れないのかよ。
Mom definitely blamed Edie, but I think Lewis blamed himself. After he graduated, he just spent more and more time in his room. Until Mom got him a job at the
そうなん
cannery.
だ。
Everyone always told me to stay out of Lewis's room. Except Lewis.
これはまたすごい部屋だね。あらまあ。
Lewis's room smelled very, very familiar. That part of him lived on.
そうなの？ルイスは結構パソコンとか、なんか現代機器が置いてあるね。
Dear Mrs. Finch, as Lewis's psychiatrist, I can understand your desire for an explanation. As I see it, the trouble began in January, shortly after we convinced your son to seek treatment for substance abuse. Newly sober, I believe Lewis first noticed the monotony of his daily life. He kept working at the cannery. But he withdrew part of himself.
これは単調だ。
In our sessions, I saw the same behavior.
この作業はやべえ。
His mind began to...
この作業は単調。
wander.
はあはあ、左手でさまよい続けて右手で操作をする。単調な操作でも
I asked him to
これは
describe it.
きついんじゃない？はあはあ。
He said he started small. Imagining a labyrinth.
これはきつい。じゃあ右手で操作しつつ
He'd feel his way about.
左手でも別の操作をしないといけない。
Then something moved. bats
コウモリ、
and toads.
ヒキガエル、はいはいはいはいはいはい。ああ、
And things that have not names.
ティラノサウルス、
He knew it was all in his head. But he took it very seriously. I had hoped he'd find himself.
話が入ってこねえよ、この魚をさばくの作業で。
But he found something more.
ああ、見つけちゃったの、なんかそれ以上のもの。立体になった。
I worried about him then. Daydreaming at the cannery. I spoke with his boss. But he said Lewis had become a model employee. Methodical, tireless, focused.
はい。
Like a whole new Lewis. So I let him go on.
ああ、続けさせちゃったな。
I even encouraged him.
あ
It seemed very promising at first.
あ、あ
He told me he'd made a new friend.
あ、ワンちゃん。
On the edge of a city he named Lewis Topia.
あ
He built the city up slowly, brick by brick.
あ、
Then he made musicians.
はあはあはあ、早く魚よこせ。イエイイエイって泳ってるね。早く魚。
And songs for them to play.
あ
He talked about
魚遅れてる
starting a
よ。
band.
陽気なんだからもっとさっささっと行こう、さっささっさ。
And he was always humming something.
ほらほらほら。ヘイヘイヘイ。
Every day his
Shake hey.
imagination grew stronger.
ああ、鮭ヘイヘイ。
He no longer spoke at the cannery.
ほら、鮭ヘイヘイ。鮭、鮭。
But his chopping was as reliable as ever. Then one day it struck him
削っちゃった。
that all the cheering crowds, even the stones under his feet,
うんうん。
were all in his imagination,
そ
so he could do whatever he
ヘイ
wished.
ヘイ、鮭ヘイ、鮭。おい、来た、鮭。あ、こっちじゃないの？こっちだね。鮭を来たよ、これ。
He held an election for mayor. And he won.
ああ、当選しちゃった。L。
They begged him to stay, but his mind was
Luigi
already
かな？
wandering. It became a game for him.
あ ああ、そこ行けないの？
He'd conquer a city, then immediately push on. New Louisville.
ペンペンっつってね。
St. Louis. He started drifting away from our reality.
あらー。ちょいちょいちょいちょいちょいちょいちょい。ちょいちょい。ちょっと詰まってる詰まってる。おいおい。詰まってるよ。鮭王国詰まっちゃったよ。ペペーンっつって。
Minneapolis. Until one day he forgot to go home from the
それにし
command.
てもこのゲームもう終わり頃だと思うんだけど、意
Even
外
as
と
his
長い
mother
なこれ。
pleaded with him, part of Lewis kept sailing on.
あら、こうなのよっつって。うるさいと。我が王国はさらに進むだなみたいなね。おっとシャケシャケ。
In Louisburg, he heard rumors of a
女王のことにしようか。
handsome queen.
あら、違った？間違えちゃった。
The queen was on her own quest for
ああ、
radiant
虹を探してるとしようか。ピロリンっつって血が出たよ。ピロリンっつってね。ピロリン。鮭、早く鮭。
He followed the sound of her
彼は女王の出す音を追い、シャキシャキ早くシタールを追ってみようか。
electric sitar.
ほら、はい。はい、鮭。早くよこしなさい、鮭。
His chase led him to a golden palace east of the sun and west of the moon. Even then, his logic remained sound. He knew the world was all in his
おい
imagination.
おい。ちょっと持ってくの多いな、いきなり。ちょいちょい。
But he was so proud of having created it.
鮭をね。
In his own eyes, he'd become something greater than a king. For someone who'd never known
よく見
success
た
in
ら
the real world, I
こ
think
の
it was
人の手もなんかブツブツできてるじゃん。
and then it
嘘。
struck him that the real Lewis was not the one chopping salmon, but the one climbing the steps of a golden palace. My imagination is as real as my body, he told me. It was hard to argue with him.
あ、鮭を抜け出しちゃった。なんもないのか。
He began to forget the world we know.
あら。
I think it pained him to remember Lewis, the cannery worker.
そうなの？
He began to despise the man with a royal contempt.
できてないよ。できてない。それできてない。大丈夫
？I still thought I could save him. Even after he said he was being crowned king over all the lands of wonder. The palace would be packed with his companions.
仲間鮭じゃん、これ。鮭じゃね？なんか切り身が踊ってるようにしか見えんが。
Including the wise calico who'd insisted on advising him.
三毛猫の姿いるの？あ、モリー。
His queen waited, holding his crown. There was only one thing left to do.
鮭天国ね。すべては鮭によって生まれ、
Then down.
鮭によって築かれると。あららららららららら。あらら。
And the rest I think you know. Mrs. Finch, your son was a kind man who will be missed by all of us who knew him.
My brother was really cool. I wish you could have met him.
あとエディができてないね。
Lewis and I spent a lot of time playing games together, but he was surprisingly bad at them. He died a
そうな
lot.
の？なんかもう苦手ですね、ゲームは結構。得意ではないけど好き。
On the way back from Lewis's funeral, my mom told me to start packing.
荷造り。もう痛くないよって。
She waited until the day before we left to tell Edie. I'm not sure if she wanted to make it easier or harder. I wish we'd stayed. understand why we left.
は
My mom ended up leaving everything behind.
あ、そうなの？
What happened that night had been coming for a long time.
何が起きたの？
Maybe it should have come sooner.
やだな。
But it had to end one way or another. All that's left now is to tell you about that last night.
あ、エディ。エディもなんか起きちゃったの？あ、何この子がエディなの？
That whole last day,
あ、イーディ
just
か。
watched us pack and didn't say a word. Until supper, when she raised her glass and said,
To our final night together, and all our final nights apart.
Grandma, you know what I said about alcohol. Some of your medications are very
Edith,
specific.
I left a present for you in the hallway. Why don't you go open it? The grown-ups have to argue now.
I'm sorry, you're right. We're all leaving tomorrow. Let's just enjoy our last...
I'm not leaving.
Edith, you're excused.
エディスとイーディ？
The power had been shut off that morning, but Edie always had plenty of candles. When my mom sealed the library, I don't think she knew about the other entrance. Or that Edie had a key to it.
ああ、そうなの？
That thing you're afraid of isn't going to end when you leave the house.
うん。
Edith has a right to know these stories.
My children are dead because of your stories. I think it's best if Edith and I leave tonight. We'll have the nursing home send a van for you in the morning. Okay?
Dear Edith, there's so many stories I wish I could tell you, but there's only time for one. This is about what happened on the night you were born.
うーん。
That night, the tide went way, way out. It was the first and last time I ever saw the old house aground. There'd been an earthquake out in the middle of the ocean.
引き潮って結構危ないですよね。実際のところ。引いた後に戻ってくるので、地震の時とかそういったものに気をつけないと巻き込まれて飲まれてしまうのでね、皆さんも海の近くにいる時に
They called it the lowest tide in
引き潮が起きたら
1,000 years.
もうすぐに高台に逃げるようにしてください。
God, it smelled awful. You know, I've seen that house every day of my life.
本当に危ないよね。
But I never thought I'd go back to it. When the fog rolled in, I lost my way. I got turned around.
上向いた？
For a while, I wandered. I started seeing things.
あ、鹿ちゃん。
Things I'd forgotten had ever existed.
どこで喋ってたのおばあちゃん。わかんないからまっすぐ行こう。
But when I saw them, they felt like old friends.
もうおばあちゃんどこで喋ってるのか全然わからんよ。
That night, a lot of things came back to me.
通れないんかい。
Or maybe I came back to them. Things I can't explain, but that I need you to try and...
Edith, what are you doing in here?
It's mine.
Edith!
Mom, you're gonna rip it. Let go.
おばあちゃん。
I kicked and screamed, but Mom dragged me to the car. I never saw Great Grandma Edie again. The next morning, the band came to pick her up, but she was already gone. After that, we moved around.
おばあちゃんいなくなっちゃったの？
We both tried to make the best of it.
ヒューンつってね。
A few years went by. My mom didn't like to talk about it, but she started getting sick a lot. The rest happened pretty quickly. She got better for a while, and then she didn't. And then I was alone. The last Finch left
最後の
alive.
生き残りになっちゃった。
Until I found out about you.
あ、誰か生き残りがいるの？
I'm still not sure what to tell you about all this. If we lived forever, maybe we'd have time to understand things. But as it is, I think the best we can do is try to open our eyes. And appreciate how strange and brief all of this is. This journal was supposed to be for you.
何これ？
「 Now I hope you'll never see it.
葬儀の葬って書いてる。数字の 2？ あ、手か。何これ。なんかどんどん吸い込まれててる。
I just want to meet you. And tell you all these stories myself.
なんだこれ。自分で伝えたいんだ。
But I guess if you're reading this now. Things didn't work out that way.
どういうこと？私っていうのは今読んでるこのことなのかな？
This is where your story begins. I'm sorry I won't be there to see it. It's a lot to ask, but I don't want you to be sad that I'm gone. I want you to be amazed that any of us ever had a chance to be here at all. Good luck.
あらー。さっきの子供なのか。今の子もちょっとなんか顔がブツブツできとったね。はあ。これ制作者たちの子供時代か。わあ。なんだろうね、究極。なんで女の人も亡くなっちゃったのかわからんね。ちょっとよくわからない物語でしたね。というところでですね、今日、夕飯？よくわからんけど、トロフィーが手に入った。こんなところで、ちょこっと、やっていこうかなというやつを、第1作目は終わりたいと思っております。ジャケット買いは、私ほぼしないんですけども、これを機に新しいね、作品に触れていくという意味も含めて、勇気を持って少しずつ手を出していきたいと思っております。楽しく実況できるかどうかはまたね、わからないところではありますけども、 なるべく最後まで実況できるようにしていきたいと思っております。では、ご視聴のほどありがとうございました。最後まで、このままご視聴くださいませ。顔怖いな、あの赤ちゃんね。途中のサメが一番楽しかったな。ぴょんぴょんつって。ぴょんつって跳ねてね。ちょっとガブガブするのはあれだったけど。ぴょんぴょんつうのは楽しかった。たくさんの開発者がね、関わってるっていうゲームではありますよね。人に歴史ありってやつですよね。フィンチのね。ザ・エンド。これで全員分ができたってことだね。了解です。これで、終わりたいと思います。ありがとうございました。